Mr. Chair.
Call David Bennett.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. It gives me great pleasure to rise and follow Alan's speech in that case. I think Alan hit it on the head when he said that the Labour Party is a party trying to hold New Zealanders back, and the New Zealand public have been held back for 9 long years, and finally now they're getting some leadership, they're getting some direction, they're getting a path forward, and they're getting a Prime Minister that actually delivers and listens to what the public want, and a Prime Minister that's taken on board the concerns of New Zealanders and addressed them in a way which New Zealanders feel that they've got some support and empathy with. New Zealanders feel now that there's a future that they are part of, that they have a government that listens to their needs, a government that delivers on their needs, and a government that has a purpose and direction and is willing to make decisions for the benefit of this country. And if you look just, before we look forward at what the Prime Minister said, let's look back at the last year. It was a very difficult year for New Zealand, as most economic indicators would indicate, with the change in the world circumstances in the recession. But the National Party led the New Zealand economy through those difficult times. We took an approach which listened to the people and actually delivered a system and structure which meant that New Zealand could sustain itself through the most difficult times. And that would have been in contrast to the previous government, which wouldn't have been able to portray and build New Zealand through a very difficult time. And I think we need to give a lot of credit to the Prime Minister and his Cabinet and the political parties that supported the government through that time, because it was difficult. But now we have to make some more and bigger choices as we move forward to build a stronger country and hopefully better times in the next decade or so. And this sets out the plan for how we intend to do that. The National Party wants to build a New Zealand which emphasises the ability of people and our communities to succeed and prosper. We want to make sure that there's an attitude out there that people want to go for it and take advantage of their opportunities. We want to see New Zealanders have faith in their future, and we want to see New Zealanders see the reward for taking the risks and the hard work that is necessary to make their future a reality. And that's what the New Zealand government is doing, and the National Party is doing in this statement to the Parliament. It is sending out there a message to New Zealanders that the time has come for you to actually follow your destiny and take advantage of what this great country is. We will give New Zealanders the tools so that they can become what they deserve to be. We're not going to hold our people back, we're not going to hold our country back, and we're not going to tell them that we know everything. We're letting New Zealanders build their own future. And this is why we have concentrated on many economic issues in the statement to Parliament, and also some other issues that are of more social nature in regard to education and social well-being that are fundamental to building that attitude change. If we look at some of the economic issues that the government has focused on, a big one is in regard to taxation changes. And, most people out there are quite aware of the situation with the property market, how there has been an investment into that market by New Zealanders that could be detrimental to the growth of this country, and how New Zealanders haven't had the incentives to go out there and look for higher income earning jobs and actually get the skills and attributes that it would give them higher incomes, because they've looked at property as an investment vehicle. Well, we want to change that attitude. We want to show New Zealanders that the attitude that you need to succeed in this world is one where you get the skills and you go into high income earning jobs where you not only build your own personal wealth, but you also build the wealth of this country. And that's what we're looking at, sending the right incentives out there so that people make those choices. We're not trying to get people to make choices on the basis of what they see as tax incentives in the system. We want to make people make the right choice on the basis of education and understanding that they can build a career and success. And that's important when you look at what the previous government had the opportunity of doing that for 9 years and did nothing. All they did was keep those incentives there so that people would invest in other structures other than in themselves and in this economy. And the National Party isn't afraid to make the hard decisions to change that investment philosophy so that people actually invest in their education and their skills. And when we look at the skills of New Zealanders, that's a very important part of what we need is the fundamental change in attitude. We need to see New Zealanders have those basic fundamental skills in their schooling system that give them the opportunity to take advantage of the modern world. And that's what we're doing with the national standards approach. It brings about a fundamental look at what we need in our skills for our young people so that they can actually achieve at school. And the National Party once again has shown itself as not being afraid to make the tough decisions and actually go out there and provide the leadership so that parents, students and our schools can understand that we do have a desire to see that people do obtain their full potential. And so just in those two elements of taxation and education, you can see the philosophy that this government is portraying through this statement to the public. Now, the Labor Party are trying to change the subject. They don't want to hear about education. They don't want to hear about tax cuts. What do the Labor Party want to hear about? They want to hear about the 16 top executives in New Zealand and how, for the government departments, how they should have their wages cut or reduced or held. That's what's going to be the step change for the Labor Party. Now the Labor Party is very quiet, aren't they? They're very quiet because they have no vision. They have no direction, and we saw that for 9 years. The public saw it for 9 years, and the public didn't want it. They actually wanted to see a direction and a step change, and they wanted to see some choices, and they wanted to see some decisions, and they wanted to see a government move ahead. And that's what you're getting with this statement. And what pleases me about this statement the most is, though, that it takes New Zealanders along on that journey. It doesn't exactly force New Zealanders into one camp or another. We give New Zealanders the option of taking advantage of the process that government will set up. We're not going out there and being dogmatic and saying that this is the end or be all of all things. What we're doing is we're giving New Zealanders the tools so that they can actually make that future for themselves. And I think that's the thing that John Key will go down as one of the great Prime Ministers of New Zealand and as the leader of his generation, because he's taken the people along with him. He's understood the psyche of the New Zealand public and has managed to incorporate that in his future delivery of a vision for this country. And by bringing a vision together where the people are part of that vision actually means that you can have success, because the ownership of this vision isn't the National Party and it isn't this government, because far be it for the 120 odd people in this room to tell New Zealanders how they should live their lives. The vision and the purpose is actually owned by the people of New Zealand. And that's what a leadership that John Key is providing. He's taking everybody together so that we can actually deliver a system and a structure so New Zealanders can achieve. And I think that's something that many politicians in this room and the opposition side need to take a good, hard, long look at, because unless you can actually drive a country through itself rather than trying to drive it out of Wellington, you cannot achieve what you want to achieve in government. And I think that's the key of what New Zealand is doing through this new national government, is that we are driving change, but through New Zealanders and through their vision of what they can achieve, and not the vision of this room necessarily. And I think that's an important part of the step change that will come to New Zealand, because we're giving faith to New Zealanders. And it's about building that attitude of a new generation so that New Zealanders have faith in their ability, they have faith in their government, they have faith in their institutions, but they also have faith in their future. And we are giving New Zealanders that brighter future that they sought 2 years ago at election time. And this is the way to do it, by delivering specifics, but also to deliver a future and a policy which people can buy into and accept and actually have ownership of. So it gives me great pleasure in being able to support this statement to the Parliament, and it is a very important start in the process of delivering that new vision and that new attitude for New Zealanders as we go forward. If we also look in the statement, there's a couple of comments in there which are very relevant to the Waikato, which I think we need to actually be supportive of, and they're around our Crown Research Institutes and our infrastructure development. So they're very pleasing for our region as well. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Well done.